What's up, guys? This is Fang/VA here, coming at you with a new video. Yes, this is the return of Sonic Tuesdays, of course. Just in case people that are new here don't know what Sonic Tuesdays are, it's where I pretty much discuss anything from theories, just overall just lore discussions, or just overall my thoughts on anything that deals with our favorite blue hedgehog. And today I'm going to tackle a subject that I have seen popped up quite a bit, and that is to many Sonic fans, which anytime I hear this, I roll my eyes, the overabundance of classic Sonic in modern day. Yeah, I know. I know that it's an opinion. I know that I shouldn't be shocked. Because obviously one of the biggest criticisms of the Sonic fandom I can give is that we change our opinions every single time. So like one moment, a game that was once considered good can turn around in about a few years or so can be considered a quote-unquote bad Sonic game. And probably because people that dislike a certain game might be a bit more vocal on it now. You know, that's normally what happens. Obviously, it's the whole vocal minority thing. But anyways, that was a very long-winded intro, so if you're new here, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and let's get started. So, let's jump back towards the days of Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1, shall we? At the time, we knew that it was some sort of Sonic game, and the name for it that they gave it temporarily was Operation Needle Mouse, which is a bit of a callback to Sonic 1. Well, the development of Sonic 1. So, you know, they are counting down, if you all remember those days, they had a big campaign of doing like a process of elimination on who was going to be the playable character. Now, naturally, as it turns out, obviously, there's no way Shadow would be playable in this game. But he was on there. You had people like, I think even Metal Sonic was on that list, I believe, too, which was weird, because it's like, which is ironic, because it's like Metal Sonic was playable in those games, but you had to do the whole lock-on feature between Sonic 4 Episode 1 and Sonic 4 Episode 2. And the biggest controversy about those games was the fact that it wasn't truly classic Sonic. People criticize the soundtrack. Now, naturally, I will be honest, those soundtracks are not the best, but I do like some of the tracks in those games. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit jarring when I played those games finally to see modern Sonic run like classic Sonic. That was odd. And people criticized the physics in Episode 1. They weren't close to, classic Sonic's physics in the classic Genesis games. And then on top of, and to top it all off, on the flip side, when Sonic Generations was coming out, they revealed the fact that, well, there was going to be two different Sonics. Modern Sonic and classic Sonic. So this was kind of the start. This was kind of the start of the classic Sonic renaissance. Now, naturally, classic Sonic has always been around. Classic Sonic has never fully run away. They still, I believe, made plushies of him. They didn't make figures of him anymore, but I'm pretty sure they still made plushies of him, especially in Japan. I might be wrong. But classic Sonic was still in the public conscience. Obviously, with all the compilations that came out during the early to mid 2000s, the most prominent one being the Sonic Mega Collection, which Even I have to admit, compared to Sonic Origins, Sonic Mega Collection is still a superior compilation, and still, in my opinion, a better celebration of classic Sonic than Sonic Origins was. Yeah, that review is really going to be interesting. When I do that with Sonic Origins. So, people. Now, naturally, I wasn't really involved with the Sonic community, so I don't know what the public consensus was of Classic Sonic Return. I would imagine people were excited. And then there was some other controversy with that game too, because Classic Sonic's physics, just wasn't exactly accurate. He was too overpowered. I mean, that spin dash, you could literally just hold that down and then do a jump, and you could just go past like a good chunk of the stage just by using the spin dash. I mean, that spin dash was OP in Sonic Generations. Now, naturally, because of Sonic Superstars coming out, now we know that, yes, it is possible to translate classic Sonic physics over to 3D. I mean, it definitely had to be possible, right? I mean, probably back then they just couldn't figure it out until they got Christian Whitehead and Sonic Mania, the Sonic 1, 2, and CD ports that they did and all that. But we'll get to that once we get to Sonic Superstars, once I start talking about that. So, Sonic Generations comes out, and of course, right, everyone's saying it's a return to form for Sonic. And then, of course, we had the mobile games that came out, Sonic Dash. That game had classic Sonic in it. Sonic Runners, rest in peace, Sonic Runners, had classic Sonic in it. I mean, Sonic vs. Speed Battle has classic Sonic in it. So they were really starting to promote classic Sonic as this alternate version of Sonic. He was to stand alongside the modern cast. 2016. So, in 2016, we find out that they were going to do 2 Sonic games. Now, obviously, we had the big 3D Sonic game, which this Sonic Forces was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back, especially with people that like Sonic games for the story. But that's a different discussion video for another time. But the one game that got people instantly hyped was Sonic Mania. The first classic Sonic game. First true to form classic Sonic game since Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And the art style was like this perfect, this perfect midway point of the Genesis graphics, but also the Saturn graphics. And the special stages had that Sega Saturn, sort of models that has became like that. Especially nowadays, I've noticed that people have really started to appreciate the Sega Saturn Sonic models. Because you can even mod that Sonic into freaking Sonic Frontiers, which is insane. Well, that's the modding community of Sonic in a nutshell. Those kudos to all of you that can do that stuff. And Sonic Mania was seen as the, true to form for the Blue Hedgehog yet again. And of course, right, people called it the best Sonic game in think it was like 15, 30. I know that they said it in a way that dissed the 3D Sonic games, because that was when like people were heavily debating if like 3D Sonic games have ever been good. And of course, the whole IGN controversy happened to where that Sonic has never been good, and of course, that same guy later on apologized, literally last year, which I will. Let me just say this publicly: I will definitely accept your apology. Just don't say nothing that stupid again. I know that you're on a show. I know that sometimes, there's so much energy in that room, and sometimes as humans have a bad habit of stuff that probably we shouldn't, because people were really taking that seriously. And then on the flip side, you had Game Grumps, which people want to know why I don't watch Game Grumps, is because I do like they are part of the why for the last 5 years. There was this whole public opinion that Sonic games are quote unquote bad when they aren't. There are some games that are bad. Don't get me wrong. Like Sonic 06 is a bad game, despite it being a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. So that whole era of Sonic really got on my nerves real quick. Like saying that, it was the first, good Sonic game in these many years. I'm sitting here like, what about the Sonic Advance trilogy? What about Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure? Those games were side-scrolling Sonic games. With the modern Sonic designs. And let me tell you, those are still beloved to this day. People want them to come to the Game Boy Advance service on the. Now, me personally, I would rather have them do some sort of collection that combines those games with, maybe a new port of Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure, or maybe even like a remake of those two games, to where they remove the touchscreen stuff, because obviously those games came out on the DS, right? So they would have to figure out a way to remove the touchscreen capabilities that game has, especially the special stages. So, getting back to my point here with this video, is that people were excited. But then Sonic Forces was revealed to have Classic Sonic in it as well, and that's when you started seeing the conversation of there's too much Classic Sonic and there's too much Green Hill. Well, yet again, I want to point this out. The fact that Classic Sonic came back because of us. The reason why I am putting myself a part of that is because of the fact that, I've always wanted Classic Sonic to come back too. And the fact that they clearly could tell that fans were wanting Classic Sonic back, considering people were angry about Sonic 4 Episode 1. And when you have a game like Sonic Generations that is successful and still is successful, it's still making Sega money, it's on the Xbox One/Series X and S backwards compatibility list. I mean, they even optimize it to be 4K and 60 frames per second for the more advanced Xbox systems. So what does that tell you? That game is still making them money. That game is still popular to this day. There's still mods being made. Classic Sonic himself makes Sega a lot of money. There are a portion of the Sonic fan base that just prefers the classic era. So when you have a game like Sonic Mania, Sonic Origins, and now Sonic Superstars coming out, and giving people more ways to play classic Sonic, and of course Sonic Forces, which I know some people may say that Sonic Forces suck. Again, that's a different topic for a different video, but it's part of the conversation because it has classic Sonic in it. And not to mention too, you also have the fans like me that I like all eras of Sonic. Yes, I may prefer certain eras over others. Like I will be the first one to say that I think the classic Sonic games are definitely, in my opinion, like if I were to recommend 5 Sonic games for a new Sonic fan, it would be Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and Knuckles. And of course Sonic CD as well. So the whole classic Sonic games. You know, the whole Genesis classic Sonic game. Sorry. Like I said, I'm so getting used to recording again, you guys. Sonic Mania, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Generations. Now, some people may be like, why did you say Unleash? Because Unleash has become popular. That's true. But there's one problem. Unless you have an Xbox, you know, either a Xbox One, a Xbox Series S and X, or a Xbox 360, people can't play Sonic Unleashed, especially the HD version, easily. Which is why there's been a portion of the Sonic fanbase that's been wanting Sega to put that to PC. And the fact of the matter is, classic Sonic is why Sonic is popular today. So yes, they're going to keep doing stuff with classic Sonic because it makes them money. And the fact of the matter is, despite some of the more louder critics of them always shoehorning classic Sonic in things, there's more fans that actually like classic Sonic being in things nowadays than don't. And if people feel like classic Sonic takes away the momentum from momentum from Modern Sonic, he doesn't. The two gameplay styles, while being very similar, Sonic Superstars is a different game from Frontiers. Sonic Superstars is your classic Sonic 2D adventure that we all know and love. Difference is it doesn't have pixel art. Sonic Frontiers I have always seen as a perfect blend of the adventure series and the modern era games. Both games can coexist. And the thing is, the fans like me that loves all the eras of Sonic, we truly are gifted. Like, I wasn't expecting them to announce Sonic Superstars. Because when they said that, that Sonic isn't going to have a light year in 2023, I thought we would have just gotten a port. But to have a new game, and if this game is successful, and it does very, very well, and the critics love it, and the fans love it, I could every year they could alternate between having Sonic Team releasing a modern Sonic game, and then you can have the team that is making Sonic Superstars Or, or if Christian Whitehead and his studio wants to come back and do Sonic Mania 2, they could alternate. And maybe in between those releases, we do have maybe like a spin-off game or a port of an older game, or maybe like a compilation. Because how they handled the Game Gear games for Sonic Origins, I think that was a big missed opportunity to just throw those games in with like the other handheld Sonic games. And that really could have, it would have been cool to have Sonic Advance, you know, on modern consoles and all that, which I know that a lot of people probably wants that. I want that. But the point is that, yes, Clash of Sonic always being in things is actually a good thing, in my opinion. The fact is that the Sonic fandom can be a bit too opinionated at times. Oh well, like a good example is going back to before Sonic Frontier. There were people that weren't going to play Sonic Frontiers. Bloody Chow Garden. And I made a video on that, and I'm going to quote that video. No one buys Sonic games for essentially what is pretty much a mini game. People buy Sonic games for the blue hedgehog on the cover. I don't play Sonic games for expecting there to be a Chow Garden. I mean, do I love the Chow Garden? Yeah. Do I want it back? Yeah. But I'm not that upset if they don't have one. Because even though that I love the Adventure series, I'm not one of those Sonic fans that is like literally foaming at the mouth anytime they do a Sonic Adventure reference. You know, getting my hopes up that there's going to be a, Sonic Adventure something. Like I said, I love all eras of Sonic. So therefore, if we get a new game, and it doesn't matter what it is, I mean, heck, if they announce that they're going to continue the Sonic Boom stuff, and they decided to release a new game, I'd buy it and play it. Actually, those are games I haven't played yet, actually, which is the Sonic Boom games. So, to end this conversation, do I think that classic Sonic being back is a bad thing? No. Do I think that they overuse him? No. Because why? Because they still mainly promote modern. And the fact of the matter is, classic Sonic is Sonic 2. You know, like I said, that's the starting point of the franchise we all love. And when I see fans sit there and criticize anytime they use classic Sonic, which everyone has a right to a opinion, but it's like, do you guys forget what system Sonic started on or something? You know, it's all in all, I am very much looking forward to Sonic Superstars and whatever else they want to do with that short, tubby hedgehog. So, if you all, if people agree with me, let me know. If people disagree with me, let me know. If some of you are kind of in the middle, let me know, and let's have a conversation. So, with that said, I'm gonna end this video here. Hopefully, it's not too long. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, guys.